Definitely.
So Tony, before we start talking about Super Bowl, we've had some big dealings going on in the NBA. It is NBA season now. Now that the NBA is over, Tony is our resident Cleveland Cavaliers fan, right? So recently James Harden was traded yesterday to the Cleveland Cavaliers for Darius Garland, for a second round pick to the Clippers. So the Clippers. The Cleveland Cavaliers get James Harden, and the Clippers get Darius Garland and a second round draft pick. And I know Tony and our pre are kind of like our pre show. Earlier on, when we were talking, getting prepared for the podcast, we were talking a little bit about. I wanted to ask you how does this, in your opinion, I know that you have been talking about getting rid of Darius Garland for a long time, that he was a liability on defense, and he's never, he's hurt all the time. He's kind of a small guard. But now you guys get a guy in James Harden. He's ball dominant, right? He's ball dominant guy, and you kind of wonder how he's going to pan out there with the mix and everything there in Cleveland. Do you think this puts the Cleveland Cavaliers in one of the top teams in the East, and probably perfectly aligned to potentially go to the finals this year with this trade?
Definitely. I feel like they have a great chance of making the finals with this roster right now, because we're pretty deep. Although I like Darius Garland, I've been telling you for the last 5 years or so, just having Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell at the 1 and 2 is not conducive to winning in the playoffs to me. And it's the same thing that happened with Steph Curry and Monte Ellis back in the day, when Monte Ellis went to the front office and said, we can't win with 2 small guards, right? So I kept thinking that because I was living in California when that went on. So and it happened with my Cleveland Cavaliers, and I'm sitting here like looking at this for the last 5 years, like sitting here like, why do we have these small guards? And you see it in the playoffs when they played last year against Indiana. Indiana was being very aggressive with them, and they couldn't do anything. And Mitchell didn't have anybody else to go to in the key situations. And I feel like now we have somebody that can be that dog to go alongside of Mitchell. And I feel like Harden can make Mobley and Allen better, because they both rim runners. They do. What people don't realize is that Harden is a great passer too. If you watch him play, he does pass the ball very well. Even though you may say he's a ball dominant guard, he can play the role of facilitator too.